For how good Jokic and Giannis are, their careers haven't been going how they should. When we talk about Jokic and Giannis, we're talking about some historically good basketball players, but somehow the team success just hasn't measured up with their individual success. Let's start with Milwaukee. Since that 2021 championship, time is starting to make it seem like that's going to be the only chip Giannis ever gets. And one championship is better than nothing, yet I hear that title run get disrespected so much.
Giannis would be the Lamar Jackson of the NBA if it wasn't for 2021 when he hurt Kyrie. Giannis would be the Lamar Jackson of the NBA if he didn't hurt Kyrie in 2021. 2 MVPs and nothing to show for it. If it wasn't for James Harden pulling his hamstring and Kyrie getting hurt by Giannis when he went up under his foot and twisted his ankle, Giannis would have nothing but those 2 MVPs and he would be looking like Lamar Jackson. A player that always folds in the playoffs. And ever since that lucky year, he's been folded in the playoffs.
As you can see, if someone's going to try to sell Milwaukee's championship journey short, they're going to bring that series up. They'll bring up how many factors went into play that ultimately worked in the Bucks' favor. You had Kyrie go down with injury mid-series, Harden playing hurt, but most of all, if KD watched his toes and got his feet off the line, it would have been a 3 not a 2, and it never would have gone to overtime and the Nets might have ended up on top. But obviously, things didn't work that way. It's one thing to talk down on Giannis and how much that title was worth when thinking about the Nets series, but hating on the conference finals is another. I get that a Hawks-Bucks conference final seems, weak, but it's not like the East normally has crazy competitive conference finals, so it's not fair to hold Giannis to that standard. He can't control who he plays against, he just shows up and tries to win, so I don't understand why people try to act like Giannis winning was pure luck. In my opinion, that Suns vs Bucks finals is arguably the most entertaining series since those Cavs-Warriors matchups, but since that 2021 run, things haven't gone their way. In 2022, it was the second round exit. 2023, they got knocked out the playoffs by the Heat, the same team they'd swept 2 years before. 2024, they lost in 6 games to the Pacers, and 2025 is looking even worse, as they probably are going to match up with the Pacers again in the postseason. But this time, the team is missing a valuable piece to the equation.
What's your reaction to hearing that Dame Lillard out indefinitely with a blood clot in his calf?
Part of the game. Hope we get better soon. Doomed for the Bucks. The buck stops here.
Are the Bucks really doomed because Dame being out with a blood clot in his calf lowers his team's chances to make a run by a huge amount? It makes you ask, is the Dame and Giannis era in Milwaukee coming to an end? The first season was a failure, so this year was supposed to be the year, but something unfortunate happened. It seemed like the second they traded Jrue Holiday, their championship window closed, and with the current roster they have, it isn't opening anytime soon. So naturally, Giannis has been trying to put some pressure on the front office.
No game last night, but this has the internet buzzing. Giannis, he was doing an interview with Sam Amick of The Athletic and said this as a Bucks staffer walked by, quote, "If we don't win this year, would you get fired? Do you have it in the back of your mind? What is it this year if it doesn't go well?" That's what he's saying to staffer. Yeah, if we don't win a championship, I might get traded. Yeah, this is the job we live. This is the world that we're living in. It's everybody. Okay, I mean, sure, it is everyone. That's good, that's diplomatic. But Brian, how much should Bucks fans be reading into that comment?
A lot. They should be reading into that comment a lot, because even bringing up the idea of a trade makes it seem like he's trying to bully the front office into making some adjustments. And one of those adjustments could potentially be Giannis requesting a trade so that he can go to a franchise that he feels has a stronger chance to secure him another championship. I know people don't like to admit this, but this is a LeBron tactic. Remember post-2016 LeBron? After Kyrie packed his bags to go to Boston, Brown forced the Cavs to sign his friend D. Wade, even though he wasn't the same player. Then when that didn't work out, he shipped Wade back to Miami and basically flipped half the roster. And so Giannis is trying to do the same thing. Obviously he doesn't have the same pull or authority as someone like LeBron, but he sure is trying. And that brings me to the point of the video, which is I can see Giannis ending up like Hakeem. In my opinion, Hakeem could have been the GOAT if he was surrounded by the same level of talent like guys like Michael Jordan and LeBron. But the reason he doesn't enter those conversations is because he doesn't have the 4+ titles to his name like these GOATs do. Hakeem's first championship was in 1994, which was a year when Jordan stepped away to play baseball. And I'ma say, he doesn't get enough credit for how much he carried the Rockets that year. He had no true second superstar, yet he won a title and won League MVP, Finals MVP, and Defensive Player of the Year all in the same season, the only player to ever pull that off. But better yet, he pulled off a repeat, because in 1995, midway through the season, the Rockets traded for Clyde Drexler. Now this is not a prime Clyde, this is a 32-year-old version of him. Regardless, Olajuwon still got the job done, but since his championship win stopped there, he's never put in the greatest of all time argument. To be fair, the Rockets tried to give him the right supporting cast, but they failed. They brought in Charles Barkley in 1996, and later even Scottie Pippen in 1998, but at that point in their careers, they had clearly declined. Imagine if Olajuwon got a prime Clyde Drexler or Scottie Pippen at his peak. It would have been a whole different story, and we might say the same thing about Giannis if he only ends up with one title, and we'll be like, Giannis could have been the GOAT if he got a prime Damian Lillard. I can see that realistically happening, and the reason I make this comparison between Hakeem and Giannis is their stories are so similar. Hakeem and Giannis are both freakishly athletic, and for whatever reason, they felt the need to stay on a team that's championship window has clearly closed. I don't know what it is with foreign players, but they're extremely loyal. Look how being loyal turned out for Hakeem. In 2001, the Rockets finally moved on from him, and Hakeem had to sign with the Raptors at age 39. It was one of those endings that just felt wrong. The dream in a Raptors jersey just didn't feel right. He barely played, injuries slowed him down, and he ended up retiring after that single season. I don't think it'd be good if that happens to Giannis. To be clear, I'm not just making this comparison just because they wear the same number or that Hakeem has mentored Giannis in the past. I genuinely feel like things might be going down that path. Another guy who I feel like is in the same predicament is Jokic. He might also win one championship and be potentially left out of some conversations that he should be in just because the team around him wasn't strong enough to help him out. And what happened this past week just solidified my stance that the Joker could go down just like Hakeem did.
A few hours ago, Coach Michael Malone was fired from being the head coach of the Denver Nuggets. Shortly after that, it was reported that Calvin Booth was also fired. Those two dudes just hated each other for years. And it felt like if ownership was going to make a big decision, it would be one or the other. They said, nah, both of y'all gone.
Breaking news is happening. Nuggets fired Michael Malone.
Word.
What? Now?
Why would he do that?
Wait, really?
Why would they do that? Why would they do that? Why would they fire Mike Malone?
Now?
Right now. Right before the playoffs. Why would they do that?
Wow, I'm trying to process that real quick.
That's crazy.
As you can see, everybody from Kenny to Carmelo were reacting to the news about Michael Malone getting fired just before the playoffs, and they were shocked. And they also got rid of the team's GM, which signals that the Nuggets front office is getting impatient with the team and potentially Nikola Jokic as well. I didn't end up covering the news when it first broke on this channel, but Malone and Booth were most likely let go because they had fundamental disagreements over how their team should be built. Booth wanted to build around young guys, while Malone wanted to rely on veteran players. Things got messy, and Denver wasn't having it. Pair that along with how Jamal Murray is seriously hurt in his hamstring, and the postseason is looking dreary for Denver. But it can't be all bad when you have the best player in the league on your team in Jokic. That's what's crazy to me and why I wanted to make this video. Right now, in the NBA, we have generational talents in Giannis and Jokic that just aren't seeing the team success that you'd think they'd have, and they risk being forgotten or potentially overlooked when they retire just solely off of the fact that the team accolades aren't there. Seriously, if Jokic was paired with, I don't know, maybe like a Trae Young or Cade Cunningham level talent, he'd have way more championships. It's just that the instability surrounding both the Bucks and Nuggets are holding back two of the best players we've ever seen, and it's hard not to draw parallels to Hakeem's career. But what do you think? Are Giannis's and Jokic's legacies going to be held back by their teams? Tell me in the comment section below. Until next time, peace.